The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Women entrepreneurs have the potential to unlock Canada's economy, says Beverlee Rasmussen, a small business expert who works with business owners, helping them overcome the myriad challenges of entrepreneurship. She says the potential women bring is significant. However, notes we're a long way off. Currently, women only account for 18.6% of small and medium-sized businesses. According to the Government of Canada, advancing gender equality and women's participation in the economy could add up to an additional $150 billion in GDP. A 2023 Forbes magazine article backs up the value female business owners bring to the economy, stating that female entrepreneurs outperform their male counterparts. Women founders tend to build businesses that generate more revenues, create higher job growth, dream bigger, and execute better. I invited Beverlee Rasmussen, the author of Small Business, Big Opportunity, to join me for a conversation that matters about unlocking the potential of women in business. Beverlee, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You know, we've had this tendency in the years to go, oh, business was the men's thing. Of course, the world has changed. But it really is changing rapidly now, isn't it? And how is it happening, I guess, or unfolding that women are now starting to have the confidence to build those businesses? Because it does take confidence.
Yeah, confidence and opportunity. You know, the world is becoming smaller, the internet, the access to training, knowledge is available now. It used to be, you mentioned the old boys club, right? You know, I remember when I first joined the Rotary Club, I was one of the first women in the club 27 years ago. And it was a boys club, it was a business club. And that's not the same anymore. It's more 50-50. So,
where does one find the courage to go out and start a business?
Again, I'm not sure if it's courage. I think it does take a lot of courage and tenacity and drive and creativity to start a business. What it takes is the opportunity. So funding, knowledge, training. I think also women are a little bit more reserved. They look at, we look back, we have a 50% failure rate of small businesses in Canada. That failure rate has remained unchanged for 30 years.
Right.
So I think women may look at that and say, okay, I'm not in a position to take a 50-50 chance with my family. So it's more strategic. I guess it's more strategic than courageous, as I would say.
Well, I still hear it as being more courageous than strategic. Like, I know I stepped out on my own 26 years ago and went, oops, I stepped off the cliff, and it's a long way down. It's like you feel like you have no footing.
Yes.
So, like, when you now meet somebody who goes, I'm thinking of doing this, what's the series of like questions and processes that you say, okay, here's what you need to start to consider before you get going?
Yeah. And I'm actually really glad that you brought up courage, because it is terrifying. You know, I remember starting my first business and feeling like completely naked, standing there, took the paper off the walls and started, and the phones didn't ring, and I was like, what have I done? So from that starting point, really at the very beginning and the heart of it is the business plan. I remember my landlord made my business plan for me because I didn't know what I was doing. And so, a bunch of men in the corporate office said, here, the landlord said, I think you've got a good thing here. Here's your business plan. And I didn't even really understand it at the time. And so I say to business owners, have a good business plan. Not one that you have had someone else make for you, but that you really understand every single element of that. The money, the marketing, the leadership, who you're going to hire, why you're going to hire them, and really do your homework now. And that's the first step to mitigating the biggest risk in business.
Okay, I am guilty of not doing that. Yes. Like, I started without a business plan. I just went, this is the market that I want to go into, and I think I'm pretty good at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm asking this out of a genuine interest, what does a good business plan look like?
And it's a great question, because there's very few of them out there. I created my own business plan course for that exact reason. Because let's say, for example, you want to look at your finances. I can show a business owner in 15 minutes or less by asking questions whether you have a viable financial model. Start there. What are you selling? how much you're going to sell it for, how many you're going to sell every month, what's going to cost you to produce that, the cost of goods sold. Okay, we've got that now. What's it going to cost to operate this business? Boom. How much money do you need to make? Most business owners, they're like, they kind of volunteer and donate. It's not ideal. You see, you're shaking your head. Yeah. And so with that one document, you can look and say, oh, maybe that's not such a good idea. And so it'll show you if you raise the prices by 10%, what happens now? Do we have a profit? So designing a profitable model from the beginning before you spent a single dime on this business is a really, really good idea.
It doesn't really have to be like down to the absolute, this has to go here, and hydro's going to be that, and the phone's going to be like, it's more broader strokes at the beginning, because how can you know?
Yeah. And broader strokes generally, but do it so that you at least have an idea. So many business plans we've looked at and said, they're like, this is not going to work. And it's like, great, find out then that it's not going to work, or find out what's involved. If it means you're working 80 hours a week in order to make it work, maybe that's a sacrifice you're not willing to make.
Oh, I know the 80 hours a week part. Yeah, all too well. The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. I learned the hard way that, to me, the next thing that you have to do is get a good bookkeeper.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It sounds like people will come to me and they'll go, well, what do I need to do? Get a good accountant or bookkeeper. And they go, what? Mm-hmm. And I go, the last thing you want to do is run foul of the CRA. They will shut you down so fast you can't believe it.
Yeah. You hit that one a nail right on the head there. And I always say, if you don't have your books up to date, like within 30 days, reconciled, done, you can't drive this business because you don't know what's going on. Especially think about what's going on right now. We've had inflation, we've had the pandemic, we've got potential Trump tariffs, we've got a postal strike happening, we've had minimum wages going up. If you don't know at any moment what you're doing, then you're only months away from. And bookkeeping is a tough one because it's hard to find a good bookkeeper. You're exactly correct. That is your most essential teammate.
Yeah. So, not that I'm trying to steal too much thunder from your book, of course. People can get information from your great book here, Big Business or Small Business, Big Opportunity. But, I also think you got to make sure that you're set up to actually be a business. Like, get a lawyer, get your business license, make sure that the business is separate from your individual, legal entity. Find that division.
Yeah, that's again, having a business bank account. As soon as you get the business name, the banks allow you to open a business bank account. Chapter 4, by the way, is Show Me the Money. If you read no other chapter in that book, that's the most important chapter.
So from your perspective, why Show Me the Money why is it so important?
And then let's take that back to women entrepreneurs. We're so nice. We want to save the world. We want to take care of everybody. We want to make a difference in the world. We want to bring beauty and order and make that difference, and super caring. And that often happens at the expense of the money. So you can do all those things in a model that makes sense. So for example, you may not want to let an employee go because it would create a hardship for them. But at the same time, it might be creating a hardship for you. And so really, you got to be a little tougher than what you might be as a mom or as a grandma or as a wife. It's business, and you have to put your business hat on. You can make those decisions based on your finances to start with. And of course that relates to your customers if they're going to dictate how this works as well. So.
Well, I tell you, the other hard lesson that I learned along the way when you talk about, show me the money is you got to have cash reserves. Like without them, you are constantly walking along with your face pressed against the window. Yeah. And so it's important to make sure that you give the business that kind of flexibility, isn't it? Yeah,
I got that advice really early. Before I started the business, the bank manager said to me, have at least 25% more than you think you're going to need. In that case, I needed $25,000. So I went to the landlord and said, I'm not ready. He said, here's the space. I'll give you 5 months rent. I'll give you a $20,000 share leasehold improvements. I'll give you all my travel business, and I'll give you my lawyer, my accountant. And I said, no thanks. I said, my bank manager said I need some cash reserves. And again, I was a single mom when I started that business, and I took him very seriously. And it turns out the landlord then, after a little stare down, gave me a check for 25 grand, which I never needed. I just put the money in the bank and I gave it back to him 2 years later. But it's the same advice, and if you think about what's happening now with, the things that are going on politically, if you think there's a storm coming, and you've got solid financials now's the best time to get a line of credit, to put some cash in the bank. Because if the next 4 years are going to be difficult for you because you do cross-border business, and you're exactly right, get some cash in the bank.
You touch on, just in telling that story, what I think is also important, the ability to learn how to negotiate.
Yes. Yeah, leasehold, there's a chapter, I wrote another book too called The Successful Business Field Guide. And one of the pages in there, because it was driving me crazy, was a checklist for taking out a lease. Because I feel like the landlords, sometimes they see the business owners coming and they forget to tell them that it's, here's the lease and here's all the deal and everything. It's a brand new build and we're going to make it for you. But they forgot to tell you that it doesn't come with toilets or electricity. And it's another $140,000 to put those things in. But, it happens over and over again. So, or, they don't tell you that there's a building going next door that's going to compete with you. So really, as a business owner, it goes back to the plan and doing the homework before you start, which again, I think, related to the story about women, we're pretty good at doing that due diligence if we know what that is.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Well, I wonder, is this where women have an advantage over men because they maybe are less concerned about saying, well, I don't think I understand. Could you explain it to me? And I think that there's, I learned this over time, that when I didn't understand something, rather than going, oh, yeah, what the heck is that? I'll figure it out later. No, it was really important to be able to go, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And do women actually have a better ability to do that than men? The best example I can give you is if there's a job posting and a man will look at it, and this is, there's research on this, and say, yeah, I got 50% of those things, or even 11%, I'll apply for the job. But a woman is less likely to apply unless she has 100% of those things and is confident that she can do the job. So I think there is some more attention to detail. We are wired differently. We can run a household, have a business, feed kids, be a great wife, all these things, contribute to the community, all at the same time. Okay, so this brings up another interesting point, though. As a small business owner, can you do all of those things and still get the business up and running? And I say that because getting started is an enormous amount of work. It is. And the answer I have to that, and what was very helpful for me, is to systematize the business. So systems, so to clarify what that is, it's not necessarily just your operating manual. Systems is simply the way something happens. Yeah. So you look at how everything happens and get that business as quickly as possible to run independent of you. So it took me 18 months to do that. I was a single mom, I had this little boy, and I needed to be the one to take him to school and to bring him home and to be available if he needed me. So I needed to get that to run independent of me. And I needed everyone to do things my way. It was actually the Somerville way. The travel agency was called Somerville Travel. It wasn't Beverly's way, it was the travel agency's way. And that worked incredibly well. I got the business to run on time, every time, as promised. And everyone did it the same way. And that was the secret to our success. I was able to sell that business 7 years after having it. I had 7 employees. And that's what I've been teaching other business owners, is start thinking systems from day one. And so that is, you run the business, but you don't do the work of the business. You hire people to do that. Do I have that right? It's true, because typically someone is a technician, they're a baker, they're a mortgage broker, they're a doctor even, and they go and they do their craft. I was a travel agent, I was a great travel agent. It's tough because, it's a little bit of ego. I didn't want to go to a Rotary meeting and have someone say to me, Sue didn't call me back, as an example. It would be devastating. So I needed to make sure everyone did things
at the same level that I did. So as a technician, so it took about 2 years, and then eventually I got to the point where I was able to step back and stop selling travel. And then that's kind of when the magic happened. I was able to leave for like 6 weeks. I actually got remarried. My husband and I have been together 30 years and living happily ever after. And it's a good story.
Mm-hmm. So another myth that I think is worth addressing is 5 years, you're home clear.
Thank you for bringing that one up as well. It's, again, it's in the book. So the money myth is that it takes 5 years to make a profit. If you're not profitable within 6 to 8 months, go get some help.
So don't wait 5 years.
Do not wait 5 years, because that magic 5 years does not happen, especially in 2024. Look at how fast the world's changing and turning, and there's resources available, there's knowledge out there. Look at this model, and the 50% failure rate hasn't changed in 30 years because we're still teaching business owners and supporting business owners the same way we did back in the 80s, which is that we're giving them SMART goals. They're like, what do I do with this? We're telling them what to do. The brain does not respond well to being told what to do. There's a lot of things. I just earned a master's degree in executive organizational coaching last year, and had to state the ontology. What is it that will make us a successful business owner? What support do they need? And there's, besides the foundational business principles and systems thinking, there's this, they need an appreciative inquiry approach, a forward-thinking approach, and also they need a coaching. If I tell you what to do, you're likely to get your back up and say, no, I've been there, done that, tried that. And so that's a little bit of the neuroscience around the support. So we need to shift the way that we're supporting business owners.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. When it comes to looking at sort of this division between men who are business, owners, starters, operators, and women, do you as a leader, and maybe I'm asking this out of pure uncertainty, I don't know what the answer is. Do women have a different way of looking at kind of their inner game, who they are, what their purpose is, what they're hoping to achieve, and does that then allow them to, develop businesses that maybe connect better with their customers? Because I think who you are as the leader matters a lot in the way that the running of the business starts to manifest itself.
Yeah. Exactly. Dr. Edgar Schein, who passed away last year, he was 94 years old, was one of my mentors. And he really talked about what the leader pays attention to and focuses on impacts the culture of the organization, which in turn impacts everything. So what they focus on and pay attention to. And so, yeah, women will pay attention to things a little different than men potentially. But interesting, men are more likely to reach out and hire a business coach. So these women think that they can.
Interesting? And do you have any understanding as to why?
I think women think they can figure it out on their own.
Oh, I thought that was a guy thing. Are you lost? No. Do you need a map? No.
Maybe they do it secretly under the table, but it's very popular now for guys to have a business coach.
Well, isn't that something? How do you help people deal with the fact that once you start taking this step, you're going to be worrying all the time?
Well, thank you. The worry starts to, I always say there's when you think of systems, you prioritize it by three things. The first one is if there's something that's hurting your reputation. So there's something going on in the business, there's something that's disruptive, that's hurting your reputation. Those are the systems to focus on first, and that'll settle a lot of things down. The second thing is if it's costing you money. And they kind of go hand in hand, but the reputation thing kind of comes first, and then the costing you money second. If you're losing money for 2-3 months, you have a missing or broken system. It's probably not the economy. It's probably not your employees. It's the way that the business itself is set up. And the third thing are things that you don't know how to do. If you're being held ransom by an employee or by a process or something that you're just not sure of and you just keep tolerating it, that's another system to put in place that will support and take the worry down, because then you can sleep at night because you've designed it specifically the way that you want it. That sleep at night, I had a client and he was really worried he had like maybe $12,000 in the bank, or $12,000 a month recurring revenue, and he couldn't sleep at night. So, well, how much money do you need to be able to sleep at night? And so he gave me a number, and then we put things in place so that once he had that, it was like, okay, good, I'm good now. So only you know your own self, men or women, you know what you need to have in place to make that work.
Yes, but I think that being in business, and I know it's a little bit off of what we're talking about, unlocking the potential of women in the economy, but when you do well, when you go, okay, I've worked this out, and it is complex. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit like a drug, and talk about a self-confidence booster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it is so absolutely rewarding. Let's talk then a little bit about the other element. You talk about having people, but going through the process of recruitment. That's a tricky business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the most expensive and the most daunting task. Again, we talked about business owners being a technician. They were not trained HR professionals. And so there's a lot of stuff that comes up. One of the advantages that women have, because I want to make sure that we cover that part of the topic, is that women are 3 times more likely to hire other women in leadership positions to build their organizations. Like the numbers are like starking, like men 37%, women 75%. It's like significantly different. So that I always say, like, hiring is like dating. It's yucky and it's awful. And so you need not a dating system, you need a hiring system in place. And so again, very specific steps. You have to take the emotion out of it. You have to create position agreements on org chart, position agreements. Once you have the position agreement, then there's a hiring process, step. What mostly happens is this, like, okay, I need somebody, and my brother's uncle, sister's friend's cousin knows someone that can do the job in a warm body, and okay, come in. And then they keep them because it's terrifying to fire someone. It's just being human, And are women a little softer? I think so. Keeping their employees a little longer. 2008, there was a really good example of so many business owners kept their employees. The economy tanked, business dried up, and there was a lot of fallout from that. They would not pay their taxes just to keep their employees. Well, in Canada, we have good unemployment insurance plans for employees. And so, again, making it a business decision. And that was more women that had kind of hung on to their people a little longer.
But ultimately, you have to be building the right culture too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that goes back to when I was talking about Dr. Shine. He's one of the leading organization development consultants in the world. And his best book is focused on culture. And what is culture? It's, that social interaction between people, and what does it feel like to be in your environment for your clients? What does it feel like to do business with you? What does it feel like to come to work? What's the opportunities here? Patrick Lencioni talks about a learning organization. People don't want to just come and, even at McDonald's, they have baby steps from, you flip the burger to, there's every step of the way. So creating that opportunity within your organization that makes it a better place to be.
Well, Beverlee Rasmussen, thank you very much for coming in and talking about the challenges of starting a business, some of the steps that are required to be successful, and for producing your book, Small Business, Big Opportunity.
My pleasure. Thanks for the time.